I was scrolling through Instagram on a Wednesday morning when I saw the engagement photos. Tyler and Chloe, beach sunset, perfect smiles, heart emojis flooding the comments. My best friend since I was 10 years old was getting married, and I was finding out on social media. No call, no text, no save the date, just a very clear message. You're not invited. I sat there in my small apartment in Parramatta, coffee going cold in my hand, feeling the familiar ache of being left behind. But I understood. To Chloe's family, to their social circle, I would always be the girl with the past, the recovered addict, the risk, the embarrassment. So I didn't reach out. I didn't complain. I just carried the hurt quietly, the way I'd learned to carry so many things. Then, 3 months later, on the morning of the wedding, my phone buzzed. Tyler's name lit up the screen with a message that changed everything. I need you there. Please come. You saved my life once. Let me honor that today. My hands shook as I read it again. Because he was right. I had saved his life. And he'd never told anyone. My name is Neve Ashford. I'm 33 years old, and I'm a drug and alcohol counselor in Western Sydney. I work with people who are where I used to be, rock bottom, hopeless, convinced they're beyond saving. I tell them my story. I show them my 8 years of sobriety. I prove that recovery is possible. But before I was a counselor, before I was sober, I was just a kid from Blacktown who made terrible choices and paid terrible prices. I started using at 18. Pills first, then harder stuff. By 22, I'd lost my job, my apartment, most of my friends, and nearly my life. The only person who never walked away was Tyler. Tyler Chen and I met in year 5 at primary school. He was the quiet kid who loved drawing. I was the loud kid who protected him from bullies. We were inseparable through high school, through our 20s, even through my darkest years when everyone else disappeared. He visited me in rehab. He drove me to 12-step meetings. He sat with me through withdrawals and relapses and moments when I wanted to give up. He never judged. He never left. And then, 10 years ago, I got the chance to do the same for him. If you've ever been defined by your worst moment instead of your best self, this story is for you. And before we go further, I'd really appreciate if you could hit that subscribe button. Sharing these stories matters to me, and your support helps me keep going. Trust me, what's coming next is something I've never told publicly before. It was a Tuesday night in November, 10 years ago. I'd been clean for 6 weeks. Still shaky, still fragile, but finally starting to believe I might actually make it this time. I was at an NA meeting in Newtown when my phone buzzed. Tyler. Normally, he'd never interrupt a meeting. I almost ignored it. But something made me check. I'm sorry for everything. Thank you for being my friend. I love you. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. I'd written messages like that before in my darkest moments. I ran out of the meeting and called him. No answer. Called again. Nothing. I texted back. Where are you? Talk to me. 3 minutes of silence. Then, Harbor Bridge, North Pylon Walkway. I didn't think. I just ran. Caught a train to Milson's Point, sprinted across the bridge approach, climbed the stairs to the pedestrian walkway. It was nearly midnight. Cold wind off the harbor. Few people around. And there he was, standing at the railing, hands gripping the bar, looking down at the black water below. Tyler. My voice was steady, even though my heart was breaking. He turned. His face was streaked with tears, eyes hollow. You shouldn't have come. Of course I came. I walked slowly toward him, not too fast, not threatening. What's going on? He told me everything. He'd lost his job 2 weeks earlier. His girlfriend had left him. His mom was sick. He felt like a failure, like he'd disappointed everyone, like the world would be better without him. He'd come to the bridge thinking it would be quick, painless, over. I stood there 6 weeks clean, barely holding my own life together, and listened. Then I said, I get it. I've been there. More times than you know. He looked at me, surprised. You tried to. 3 times, I said quietly. And every time something stopped me. Sometimes it was fear, sometimes it was hope. Sometimes it was just one person who gave a damn. I moved closer, slowly. Tyler, you saved my life. You know that, right? Every meeting you drove me to. Every call you answered at 3 a.m. Every time you believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You're the reason I'm still here. He shook his head. That's different. It's not, I said firmly. We're both human. We both hurt. We both deserve to keep going. I reached out my hand. Come away from the edge, please. Let's talk, really talk. And if you still feel this way tomorrow, I'll understand. But give yourself tonight. Give me tonight. For 4 hours, we sat on a bench near the bridge. I told him about my overdoses, my relapses, the nights I thought I wouldn't survive. He told me about the pressure he felt, the expectations, the weight of trying to be perfect. We cried. We laughed at dark jokes. We watched the sunrise over the harbor, that soft gold light that makes Sydney look like something out of a dream. When the light came, something shifted in his eyes. I think I'm okay now, he whispered. I drove him to the hospital. He admitted himself voluntarily. Stayed for 2 weeks. Started therapy, medication, actually dealt with his depression instead of hiding it. When he came out, he hugged me and said, I will never forget what you did. Never. But he also asked me not to tell anyone. He was ashamed, afraid of judgment, so I kept his secret. Even as the years passed, even as he got better, even as he met Chloe and fell in love, I never mentioned that night, because it wasn't my story to tell. It was his. Have you ever saved someone's life and had no one know it? Drop the word silent in the comments if you understand that feeling. And please, if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. What happens next is going to shake you. Tyler met Chloe 3 years ago at a gallery opening in Paddington. She was beautiful, successful, from a wealthy family that summered in the Whitsundays and had investment properties across Sydney. Everything Tyler thought he needed to prove he'd made it. At first, I was happy for him. He seemed lighter, happier. But slowly, things changed. He stopped returning my calls as quickly. Our coffee catch-ups became less frequent. When I finally met Chloe at a group dinner, I understood why. She was polite but cold, asked what I did for work. When I said I was a drug and alcohol counselor, she smiled tightly. That must be rewarding. Then Tyler mentioned I was in recovery myself, 8 years clean. The shift in her expression was instant. Polite interest became guarded distance. Later, I overheard her talking to Tyler in the hallway. You didn't tell me she was an addict. Ex-addict, Tyler corrected. She's been clean for years. She helps people now. Still, Chloe said carefully, people like that. They're not really stable, are they? It's always one bad day away. I left early that night. Tyler texted me apologizing, saying she didn't understand. But things were never quite the same after that. When they got engaged, I congratulated them, offered to help with anything they needed. Tyler said he'd let me know about the wedding details. Weeks passed, then months. I saw dress shopping photos on Instagram, venue tours, registry info, but no invitation arrived. I finally texted Tyler directly. Am I invited to the wedding? 3 hours later. It's complicated. Chloe's family has opinions. I'm sorry. That hurt more than a flat no, because it meant he'd chosen their comfort over our friendship. I didn't fight it. I'd learned in recovery that you can't force people to see your worth. You just have to live it and hope eventually they notice. So I focused on my work, on helping my clients, on building a life that felt meaningful even when it felt lonely. I deleted the Instagram photos of Tyler and Chloe's wedding countdown. I stopped checking for updates. I made peace with not being there, or at least, I tried to. Then the morning of the wedding arrived. I was making breakfast when my phone buzzed. Tyler's message appeared like a grenade on my screen. I need you there. Please come. You saved my life once. Let me honor that today. I read it 5 times. Tried to understand what he meant. Why now? Why this way? I typed back, Tyler, Chloe doesn't want me there. His response came immediately. I don't care. I need you there. She needs to understand who you are. Please, Neve. For me. I stood in my kitchen, torn between protecting myself and showing up for the person who'd shown up for me so many times. Finally, I texted back. Where and when? He sent the address. Sydney Harbor venue, ceremony at 4. I looked at the clock. It was noon. I had 4 hours to decide if I was brave enough to walk into a room full of people who'd already decided I wasn't good enough. I opened my closet and pulled out the only formal dress I owned. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't designer. But it was mine. And I'd earned the right to wear it. This is where everything explodes. Stay with me, because what happens when I arrive is going to leave you speechless. And if you're enjoying this, please hit subscribe. These stories take courage to tell, and your support means everything. I arrived at the venue at 3:30. The Sydney Harbor sparkled behind the glass pavilion, boats drifting past like white swans. Everything was perfect. White roses, string quartet, guests in expensive suits and cocktail dresses mingling with champagne. I stood at the entrance in my simple navy dress and secondhand heels, feeling every inch the outsider. A woman with a clipboard approached. Name? Neve Ashford. She scanned her list, frowned. I don't see you here. I know. Tyler invited me this morning. Her expression shifted to alarm. Wait here. She disappeared inside. 2 minutes later, Chloe appeared. She looked stunning in her pre-ceremony cocktail dress, hair and makeup flawless, but her face was tight with fury. What are you doing here? Her voice was low, controlled, dangerous. Tyler asked me to come. He didn't. He wouldn't. You're not on the list. He texted me this morning. I can show you. I reached for my phone, but she grabbed my wrist. I don't care. You need to leave. Now. People were starting to notice, heads turning, whispers spreading. I felt the familiar shame crawling up my spine, the old voice saying I didn't belong, that I'd never belong. But then I heard his voice. Neve. Tyler appeared behind Chloe, suit on, boutonniere pinned, face pale but determined. You came. Chloe spun on him. Tyler, what is this? I invited her. You what? Her voice rose above the music. You invited her. Without telling me? Yes. He stepped past Chloe and hugged me. I felt him shaking. Thank you for coming. Chloe's face flushed red. Tyler, we talked about this. My family specifically said, I don't care what your family said. His voice was loud enough now that the entire entrance area went silent. Guests stopped mid-conversation. The string quartet faltered. Neve is my best friend. She deserves to be here. Chloe's mother appeared, a formidable woman in Zimmerman and pearls. What's going on? Chloe pointed at me. She crashed our wedding. I invited her, Tyler said again, louder. Chloe's mother looked at me with barely concealed disgust. Tyler, darling, we discussed this. Given her history, it's not appropriate. Her history? Tyler's voice cracked. You want to talk about history? He turned to face the gathered crowd. About 50 guests had migrated toward the commotion. Let me tell you about Neve's history. I grabbed his arm. Tyler, don't. But he gently removed my hand. No. They need to know. He took a breath. 10 years ago, I stood on the harbor bridge ready to jump. I was going to kill myself. I'd given up. And Neve, who had only been clean for 6 weeks, who was barely holding her own life together, ran across the city and talked me down. She sat with me for 4 hours. She saved my life. The silence was absolute. Chloe's face drained of color. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Tyler continued, voice shaking but steady. Since then, Neve has been sober for 8 years. She became a counselor. She helps other people fight the same battles she fought. She's saved dozens of lives. She's one of the strongest, most compassionate people I've ever known. And you wanted to exclude her because of a past she's already overcome? He looked at Chloe. She's more than her worst day, just like I'm more than mine. Tears streamed down my face. I'd never heard anyone defend me like that. Never had someone stand up and say, in front of everyone, that I mattered. Chloe stood frozen, mascara starting to run. Tyler, I didn't know. Because I didn't tell you, he said quietly. I was ashamed. I hid it, but I'm done hiding. And I'm done pretending that the people who judge Neve are somehow better than her. They're not. She's better than all of us. Chloe's mother spoke, voice wavering. Tyler, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. She looked at me, really looked at me for the first time. I judged you based on assumptions. That was wrong. Then something unexpected happened. She took a step toward me. I struggled with alcohol for 15 years. No one in this family knows except my husband. I hid it, treated it, and pretended it never happened. But I remember what it felt like to be seen as broken. Her voice broke. You're not broken. You're brave. And I'm sorry. The apology hung in the air. Chloe looked between her mother and Tyler and me, something shifting in her expression. Finally, she spoke. I'm sorry, Neve. I was scared. Scared you'd, I don't know, ruin something. But Tyler's right. I judged you without knowing you. That was unfair. It wasn't a perfect apology. It was awkward, forced by circumstance. But it was real. I nodded. Thank you. Tyler reached for my hand. Will you stay? Please? I looked around at the faces staring at us, some sympathetic, some still uncertain. But Tyler's eyes held only hope. Okay, I whispered. I'll stay. We're almost at the end. Stay with me. The conclusion is going to hit you right in the heart. And please, subscribe if this story touched you. You won't regret it. The ceremony started 20 minutes late. I sat in the third row, not hidden in the back, but not in family territory either. Somewhere in between, which felt right. Tyler and Chloe exchanged vows. She promised to love him in sickness and health, and I saw her glance at him when she said it, understanding finally clicking into place. When they were pronounced married, the crowd erupted in applause. As they walked back down the aisle, Tyler stopped at my row. Thank you for being here. Chloe stood beside him, took a breath, and added, Yes, thank you. The reception was beautiful. Harbor views, fairy lights, speeches that made people laugh and cry. Tyler's best man told stories about their university days. Chloe's sister talked about how Tyler made her laugh. Then Tyler stood up for his own speech. There's someone here tonight who almost wasn't. Someone who my wife and her family didn't think belonged. But she does. More than anyone. He looked directly at me. Neve, you gave me my life back. You gave me the chance to be standing here today. You showed me that rock bottom isn't the end. It's just the place where you decide to rebuild. Thank you. For everything. The room applauded. People came up to me afterward. Chloe's mother hugged me. Other guests asked about my work, genuinely curious. One woman slipped me her card and whispered, My son is struggling. Can I call you? By the end of the night, I danced, laughed, and felt something I hadn't felt in years around Tyler's life. Included. As the party wound down, Chloe approached me on the terrace. Can we talk? We stood looking at the harbor, lights reflecting off black water. I'm sorry I made you feel unwelcome. Tyler told me more about what you've overcome. It's incredible. I shook my head. It's just life. Some of us have harder roads. No, she said firmly. It's more than that. Most people don't make it out. You did. And then you dedicated your life to helping others do the same. That's not just survival. That's purpose. She paused. I want to learn about what you do, about how to support people instead of judging them. Would you be willing to teach me? I looked at her, surprised. Really? Really. She smiled, genuine this time. Tyler chose well when he chose you as a friend. I'd like to understand why. We didn't become best friends that night. We didn't erase years of prejudice with one conversation. But we started something. A bridge across the gap that separates people who've suffered from people who haven't yet. And maybe that was enough. As I left the venue that night, Tyler walked me to the car. Thank you for coming, for being brave. I hugged him. Thank you for finally telling the truth. He pulled back, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry I hid it for so long. I'm sorry I let them exclude you. You made it right, I said simply. That's what matters. Driving home across the harbor bridge, I passed the walkway where we'd sat 10 years ago. The place where two broken people held each other together until the sun came up. I thought about how far we'd both come, how much we'd survived. And I realized something. Recovery isn't just about getting clean. It's about reclaiming your story. Refusing to let your worst moment define you. Standing up and saying, I am more than my past. I am what I do with my future. And my future was helping people who thought they were beyond help. Showing them what Tyler showed me, that one person believing in you can change everything. If you're fighting addiction, if you're in recovery, if you've ever felt judged for your past, I want you to hear this. You are not your worst day. You are every day you choose to keep going. Every moment you choose healing over hiding. Every time you show up even when it's hard. That's who you really are. And anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve space in your life. Surround yourself with people who see your strength, not your scars. And when you find those people, hold on to them. Because they're rare. And they're everything. What do you think? Was Tyler right to confront his family? Should Chloe have apologized sooner? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button. More real, powerful stories are coming. Stories about survival, redemption, and the courage it takes to keep going when the world tells you you're not enough. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are worthy of love, respect, and a seat at the table. Always.